Hello ladies and gentlemen, Commissar Bro here today with Making History, the Calm and the Storm Gold Edition. This is actually, despite what most people would probably think, this is probably one of my favorite grand strategy games, even though it's not, it's not as in-depth as say games like Hearts of Iron, or the Europa Universalis games. But it has a very simplistic, easy-to-learn interface with comprehensive tools that allow you to literally do everything. And the best I can think of this as is a more complicated version of Risk and or Axis and Allies. And this version I'm playing here is actually the Onslaught mod version. I have actually modded my own versions of this game before because this game is incredibly easy to mod, which allows for all sorts of different game types and so on and so forth. Needless to say, let's go ahead and get started. I decided to pick Grandmother Russia. That's right. And I have a very, basically I have the not smartest strategy in the world with how I operate in this game. I full-on go into upgrade mode. I upgrade everything like this, as you can see, and I will sit there and upgrade everything this way. Unfortunately, this is probably the fastest way to actually do it, is to go into these menus and do it where you're upgrading everything to level 2. The second game made more, I guess, the game is a lot more like Supreme Ruler in the sense of its resource systems, where you click on each province and you upgrade it manually. You can still go through menus, but it's the practicality of the situation that really, I don't know. I don't like the second one as much as I love the first one. The first one was a very, very big game for me. In the past, when I was a child, I think it came out in like 2006, maybe. And well, I wasn't really a child; I was a teenager, and I loved playing this game. I loved modding it. I loved downloading people's mods. But see, the thing about it is, it's a very unknown game. It's very, 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 basically unknown. But I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit so you guys don't have to sit here and watch me click through all these menus. Alright, now that we've gotten that out of the way, essentially what I just did was I increased the agriculture production levels, which is, our farming obviously, and I also increased infrastructure levels, which allows for faster, you get resource bonuses the higher your infrastructure levels, and your troops can move faster through that land. Being Mother Russia, obviously, we're going to want to move as quickly as we can through this territory if the war actually breaks out. Now, this is, it's normal for me to do something like that in this case, the way I play anyway. What I'm doing right now as well is I'm increasing my coal. I'm maximizing, essentially, my coal, metal, and oil production so that, the earlier you start, the better off you are in the long run. It's really expensive. This strategy is incredibly expensive. And this is sort of like I'm putting my resources on autopilot to just increase as much as they can for the next little while. Now, what I'm about to do as well is now I'm on the city production screen. Keep in mind, everything I'm doing you can actually do by clicking on the province. See, if you click on the province, here you've got your food production, you have your fortification level, and your transportation level. When I play this game, I tend to increase fortification on the eastern front border there, to make sure that if or when the war breaks out, that I actually have a decent fortification bonus for my troops. I also tend to move most of my armies to that particular front to mentally prepare myself for it, to just to make sure my troops are there, because again, Russia is a very large country and the infrastructure early on is piss poor. So like this army right here is going to take 7 turns to get there. That's basically a month and a half. It's going to take about a month and a half for that army to fully deploy on the western border we have. I'm also going to move my fleets into port. What this does is it makes it where my ships are no longer defending that body of water, so they can't be attacked unless this province gets taken over. At which point they get jutted out. The main reason I'm doing that, though, is because you use less arms. Arms is one of the resources that you have in the game, and it will be used if you are not careful, essentially. And it basically, you don't want to run out of arms in this game, because let's say right now I have 586, and I'm making 11 per turn. That's pretty good to start off, but if we're not careful, that could go south really quickly. And what'll happen is, like, my combat effectiveness level for my troops, you see right here, essentially that will lower, and my dudes will do less damage. They will become far less effective. How you see you have an air attack, like, well, let's look at land units first. You have your land attack 30, land defense 45, so this army is obviously better at defending than attacking based on its unit composition. But if we do have the arms negative, then, you know, it's going to turn out really badly for us. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and focus on city production, now that I've explained some of that. City production is pretty obvious. What I'm going to do is, I am a very, very heavy industry person. Like, I go fast into industry early on to make sure that late in the war, because what's going to happen to Russia, especially since I'm playing against AI, is Germany is going to declare war on me, and there really isn't any way I'm going to be able to stop that. So it would be in my best interest to max out my industrialization as best as I can without hurting my economy, though. And that's one thing you have to remember about this game, and you have to be very careful about, is you know, if you're not careful, you can you know, I mean, you can overexert yourself. You can, all your people might be like, you might take all the farmers and urbanize your cities and make these huge industrial powerhouses, but now you have no food. And that's a very common problem that happens late game more often than not, is you just overextend yourself, and then you end up having to rely on other countries like China to sell you food, because China in this game is, even late game more often than not, China doesn't industrialize very well, so they always have high food production compared to everyone else. Anyway, as you can see, I've got everything set up to where essentially I'm heavily industrializing. I'm not focusing on arms, so it's going down 58 per turn. All my resources are pretty much suffering right now, so let's go ahead and go to the trade screen, and from here we can actually purchase resources. Let's take the Netherlands, for example. That's going to be 24. Mexico is going to provide 28. Bam. Look at that. So that's just oil. So we're making positive oil now, and I'll actually buy some oil from Germany too. Let's take a look at coal. We're going to need some coal. We'll buy some from Communist China. And then Xibei Sama. Let's see, what else we have? We can do some from the Rhineland. I see no quarrels with that. And maybe the rest from Poland. So it's always good to kind of spread it out amongst people. At first, especially, you don't want everybody. Oh well, look, damn, the Rhineland got taken over the first turn. So that we ended the first turn, and every turn is equal to about a week. So it is now, I think it says May 7th, 1935. I can't see past the fraps counter. So yeah. Anyway, we are currently making money even with all of our massive increases, and we need food. That's not good. Let's request on the market, and we're going to request 100 food on the market, and hopefully some nice giving soul will help us out there, because that's going to be, food is huge. If you don't have enough food, obviously your people start starving, and your manpower growth, which you see right here on my national labor pool, I'm getting 19 MPUs per turn, which right now, as you can see, I have a pretty large amount of MPUs. Needless to say, you want constant growth. You need to focus on growth, just like the Superpower 2 videos where resources are important, so on. You have to focus on that type of stuff. To give you an idea of how well we're doing right now, we have just increased our industrial output by about 50 in the past like 2 or 3 turns. So like, keep an eye on this. Watch. Right now we're at 503. We end our turn. Bam! It just went up another 15, and we just completed a battleship in Leningrad. So we're gonna get Leningrad to go focus on something else. We're going to do industrial fishing to make sure that we have enough food. Again, this is a mod, so some of this stuff is not available in the base version of Making History Gold Edition. For example, luxury goods, manufactured resources, so on and so forth. That is stuff that does not exist in the base game, but it makes the game a lot more industrial based. Like, you don't have to worry so much about your farms. You still have to focus on manpower and stuff like that, but I really like the way a lot of mods, and a lot of mods are insane. There's a World War I mod. There is a sort of Risk mod. That was actually, no, there is a Risk mod. I'm lying to you. And then there's a mod called like Clash of Continents and stuff like that. I mean, there's lots of just wacky stuff that people, very creative people have created for this game to add insane amounts of replay value. And like, then there's, I probably already said the World War I mod, and then there's Cold War mods and Modern Warfare mods, and people add in the, people add in and create all these models for the game, and it's a very dedicated community. And honestly, I love this game. This game is a great game. It's very simple, and it was actually used in some schools as an educational device to teach people about the fragility, basically, of alliances, and to get people more interested in subjects such as World War II, which to me is always a good thing, because I feel like that is a subject that's constantly looked down, like, not really looked down upon, but people don't find interest in history, even though history is terribly interesting, especially to me. I find history to be, my favorite subject by far, because there's so many crazy and interesting events that have gone on throughout history that just, that make every little bit of it worth knowing, worth understanding, and, so on. But anyway, I think we'll go a couple more turns. As you can see, look, our industrial capacity is up to 581. To give you a kind of an idea or a comparison, let's take a look at Germany. Germany has 560 industrial output units, which is impressive. It's not bad. For being this 1935, we are technically really highly advanced countries. Here's the United Kingdom, for example, with 699 IPUs, and then the United States with 1,017 IPUs. So obviously the United States is the most industrially advanced country in the world at this time, which is essentially true to life, sort of. I mean, if you were going more factually, it would probably be Germany or UK. But needless to say, they're both still in the running, with us just passing Germany in industrial output units, which makes us have a little bit of advantage over them, especially this early on, because I don't think Germany will even get to where we are for another probably on about the 50th turn or so is about when we should be concerned with Germany, maybe even a little bit later than that. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and pop out 2 more turns. Oh, look, we have a lot of our agriculture improvements have completed in a lot of places. So what we're going to do, and again, you don't have to play the game this way. I play the game very tediously, very, very tediously, because I want everything to be maximized and potential high as I can possibly muster. So basically, I play a very slow game, a very tedious game, just to make sure that this economy is to the best of my ability. Also, for those of you curious about difficulty level, I do not have it on the highest difficulty setting. I instead, because I'm seeing this as more of like a tutorial for those of you who might be interested in this game, it's actually just on hard rather than the hardest difficulty. Anyway, let's go ahead and return one more time. Bam, there's a couple more agricultural improvements, and 3 more cities have been upgraded to industrial cities, which I can talk about in the next video. Anyway, this has been Commissar Bro. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this is one of my favorite games of all time. It's simple. It really is simple, but it has a lot of depth behind it. It has a lot of complexity, and it's nooks and crannies, as long as you're willing to look at and figure out how to play the game. For the best experience, I would not suggest playing as the United States, because the United States is deeply overpowered compared to everyone else. And I mean, even then, like Soviet Russia is pretty powerful as far as the other countries go. But I mean, they're on a far more manageable level than the United States is. The United States is just way overpowered. But anyway, I'm ranting. This has been Commissar Bro. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys like this little video, and I really would like to continue this series if you guys find it interesting. So just let me know in the comments. Show a like, a subscribe, the usual. And I hope you all guys have a wonderful day.